Hello! Welcome to the Vintage Girl Next Door. My name is Lacey and today we are in the kitchen because we are going to make another vintage recipe. So today we are making this peaches and cream pie using my Cooking Magic cookbooks. If you want to see how I made this pie and how it tastes, then you're going to want to stick around. All right, like I said, we are using my 1955 Cooking Magic, and they have so many recipes in here. It is literally the best. So we're going with peaches and cream pie today, and there was a recipe for the pastry pie crust and then also for the pie filling. So first of all, we are going to make this crust. So we are taking 1 cup of flour, and then a 1/2 teaspoon salt, and we're going to cut in 1/3 cup of lard as soon as that's mixed together. So this is what I learned, because this is actually my second attempt at this pie crust that you're watching right now. So what I learned is it makes a huge difference if your lard or shortening or whatever is cold. So second try, I put it in the fridge first and cut it in cold, and then also we're going to add in 2.5 tablespoons of cold water, give or take, and that actually has to be cold, like not from the tap cold, but actually refrigerated. And that made night and day difference in the way that my pie crust turned out. My first attempt, it would not hold together, so I added more water, and then it was hard as a rock and like wouldn't roll out. So it really makes a difference. That is the trick, is to chill the shortening and the water. Make sure they're both very cold. So as you can see, I did add a little bit more than 2.5 tablespoons of water. You just kind of have to feel it out, and you're supposed to go ahead and mix that water in until it barely holds together, and you're not supposed to over mix or over handle the dough. So now I shaped it into a ball. I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap, and I'm going to refrigerate that for 20 minutes. So that is done. Now I've floured the countertop, and we're going to roll this dough out. So as you can see, it still is a little bit flaky, but it's able to be worked with. So I'm just kind of gradually rolling that out and flouring as I go, flouring the rolling pin as I go, and then also the counter if I needed to, and my dough as well, because it does get a little bit sticky. And then I just used a knife and then also some flour to roll that dough kind of backwards onto the rolling pin so that I can place it into my pie pan. So now we've got that all nice and rolled out. I'm putting it in the pie pan. Some of the edges did break up a little bit, but not too bad. And now I'm just cutting off the excess, and I did kind of make a mistake here. I should have left a little bit around the edges and turned it under before pressing it with the fork, but it did work okay. The pie crust did shrink a little bit while I was baking it. So I'm just crimping the edges with a fork, and then you also want to kind of prick the bottom of it with a fork. We will put it in a 450 degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes until it's golden brown. I actually did about 10 minutes on the low end so that it wouldn't burn, because my oven actually runs a little bit hot. So our pie crust is done. Now we are going to start on the filling. So as I mentioned before, that was my second attempt at a pie crust. So this was actually filmed the day before when I was doing my first attempt. That's why I'm wearing different clothes, if you noticed. So I am preparing some of the filling. So first we are doing a 1/4 cup sugar, 1/4 cup flour, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and we're going to mix that all together and set it aside for a minute while our pie crust is cooling. Now I'm going to open my peaches. You need about 1.5 cans of the peach halves, and you're going to drain those peach halves thoroughly. Okay, now I am mixing together 2 tablespoons sugar, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, now we're ready to put it all in the pie crust. So we're supposed to sprinkle 2/3 of this dry ingredient mixture in the bottom of the pie shell. And then we're going to place our peach halves in with the cut side up. And make sure that that covers the whole bottom. And now we're going to take the rest of that dry ingredient mixture and sprinkle it over the top of the peaches. Now it's time to add our sour cream. So there's 2 cups of sour cream. And I just kind of dolloped it on and then went ahead and kind of smoothed it out. And I just kind of smoothed it all together so it covered all of the peaches and so that it looked a little bit prettier. Now that that's on, we're going to sprinkle our sugar and cinnamon mixture over the whole top of the pie. And then the recipe says to swirl with the back of a spoon for decorative effect. So that was harder than it sounds. But I think it ended up looking okay. Now we're going to bake this at 450 degrees for 20 minutes. And then let it cool for a little bit, but serve it warm. And here is the finished pie. It looked really pretty. It smelled really good while it was cooking, so yay. Let's see how this tastes. I'm excited and slightly nervous. Oh gosh. Okay, well, it didn't come out very pretty, but let's taste it and see what we think. Okay, so I'll make sure I get a piece that has peaches and crust and cream. It's not bad. It's not bad. I was a little concerned about the sour cream because that's a lot of sour cream and I don't know, it just sounded weird, but it actually tastes really good. The cinnamon and sugar on the top made like a really nice little sweet flavor. I'll try another bite. I think it's yummy, you guys. Okay, thoughts on the pie. It is yummy. I have not quite perfected my pastry crust recipe. I went off the one in the book, the Cooking Magic book, but it was super tricky. Like, you guys, you wouldn't think that a pie crust was science, like, or an art form, but it is. That crust was really hard, and I feel like mine's okay. I feel like it's a tiny bit too thin. I think next time I will not roll it out as quite as thin. But as far as the flavor goes, it's good. I think I like more peaches to cream ratio. So maybe in the future I would do like maybe 2 layers of peaches and then like maybe a little less of the sour cream. But overall, it wasn't bad. It's a good one. It's fairly quick, like especially if you already have your pie crust ready, then it's only 20 minutes to bake. I like it. If you don't like super sweet pie, you will like this one. It's really not very sweet, just the right amount of sweet, I think. So I think it was yummy. I do think if I made it again, I would make those slight changes, but overall, I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I think this is a good one, you guys. I would recommend trying it. I will make sure and put the whole recipe in the description box. So if you want to try it out, you can. And if you do, please tag me. It was so much fun seeing all of you that made the ration cake recipe. Good job. They all turned out so good, and it was so much fun for me to see you guys trying out a recipe from my channel. That was awesome. Keep doing it. This was a fun one. So if you like these vintage baking videos, make sure you subscribe, make sure you give this one a thumbs up, it really helps me out. So I have a few other vintage baking videos that I will link as a playlist in the eye so that you can check those out if you have not seen them already. And thanks so much for watching, you guys. Thanks for being here. Your comments and your kindness mean the world to me, and I sure appreciate each and every one of you for being here on my channel and sharing this little vintage corner of the internet with me, and I will see you all soon in my next video. Bye!